Welcome to Now What with Jeanna. Um, I am here for the first time in 2 weeks because I missed. I'll tell you about that in a second. I don't know. I'm feeling a little awkward today, but we're gonna have fun anyways. I hope. I don't know. I'll have fun. Anyways, what am I doing? I am gonna introduce today's sponsor, and that is Stephen Covey. The other day, I found that Stephen Covey has another book, as you may have recalled. I have been doing the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, calling it the 7 Habits of Successfully Sober People, and applying the habits to sobriety in the way that I've used them for the most part. Well, anyways, I discovered the other day that he has a eighth habit, and it's a total separate book. I have it on Audible now. I'm listening to it. I don't know that I'll be going through it the way that. Hi, Mark. Glad you're here. I'm back, so I'll tell you. I'm going to tell you guys a story, by the way, in a minute. But anyways, I don't know that I'll be going through the 8th habit the way that I've gone through the 7th habit. 7 habits. There are 4 parts in that 8th habit, and I got to learn a little bit more about this before I do. But there are four parts in that 8th habit that I might talk about in a later series. I don't know. It's a little early now, and I'm a little distracted. And so there you go. Let's see. I have someone. Okay, I'll go ahead and tell you the story. I have someone on a different channel. I don't know who's there. I would love it if you said hi. But everything's messed up right now. Let me tell you the story. So the other day, I was working in the morning and I saw this bug crawling across, and this is so hard for me to admit. In California, cockroaches are seen as nasty little things, and you don't. Ugh. Here in Alabama, they're pretty common. They call them palmetto bugs, as if that means they're not a cockroach. I don't know, but that we have them all the time. So I'm going to admit that there was one in the house, and not we have them all the time, like they're overrun the house. They just occasionally get in, and there's nothing you can do about it. Every house I've lived, even my mom, who has exterminators come on a regular basis, every so often there's one. So I get rid of my self-conscious. I don't like bugs, and I definitely don't like cockroaches. So it was in here crawling across the table toward my hand as I was trying to type. And I had a little panic attack, and I grabbed a book and I hit it. But in my panic attack, I hit the table so hard that I broke my computer. So I have been out of computer for about a week, and been spending most of the week trying to catch up on things that wasn't able to do when I didn't have a computer. Been in total freak out mode, just trying to get where I'm supposed to be, all because I've been saying that I killed my computer with a cockroach. Anyway, so that is a little sidebar. If you'd like, we can do an episode of dealing with our fears in recovery and focusing on bugs. So if you have any bug fears, join me. I would love to deal with your bug fears along with my bug fears, because yeah, they're just cockroaches crunch under your feet. Oh, hey, Marcus. Okay, Marcus, I want to thank you. I was just telling everyone how my computer is totally screwed up and I've had to redo everything. I lost my hard drive. I lost all my memory, all my files. Everything got lost. And I missed a week last week because of I didn't have a computer. And and I didn't know if the chats were going to work on the channel. So thank you for saying something. I now know that they do work. So thank you, Marcus. If let me go ahead and introduce this myself. I'm a little kind of thrown off, and I just jumped right into my cockroach story. And so let's start by introducing myself and what you're here for. Welcome to Now What with Jeanna, where I answer questions, offer tips, and say stupid shit about cockroaches and stuff like that, and addiction and sobriety and recovery that I'm sure I'm going to later regret. If you have a question, please feel free to let me know. If I can answer the question on this episode, I will do so. If I can't, I will do it in a later episode. Where I can answer it more fully and give you a better idea of it. I like to prepare a lot. Part of the reason I'm a little distracted is because I'm not prepared, because I've had a week without a computer and I'm a little thrown off. And anyways, so if you haven't been here in a while, I've been doing a series on the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. by Stephen Covey, but the series is for sobriety. So I'm calling it the 7 Habits of Successfully Sober People. I was going to call it secrets. Successfully sober people. And I've been applying these habits and using them, or talking about ways we can use them to help us with recovery. Today's habit is not synergize, synergize. And so we are going to talk about that today. Before we move on to that, I'm going to ask for a plug in the beginning. I'm going to ask for it again at the end. Hopefully I don't forget, but I have it now. So we have a YouTube channel. It's now what? Now what? Now sober. I'm sorry. Now sober is a YouTube channel. If you I'll probably put a link in here when I'm done, or you can just uh, go to Now Sober on YouTube. And I'm trying to get to 100 people. As soon as I get to 100 subscribers, I can get a customized URL so that we can have a Now Sober URL instead of a bunch of numbers. And I really want that. So I am asking people to head on over to YouTube when you get a chance and hit that subscribe button for us so that we get those subscribers and I can get the customized channel. I want it to say Now Sober. I'm trying to rebrand everything to say Now Sober, including the podcast. We're going to switch that up. So if you're part of listen to the Back Porch Chats podcast, it will quickly be Now Sober podcast. But we haven't done it quite yet. Finite. Hi, I want to say hi, thank you. And 3 is Sem Abri. Thank you for joining. This is Jeanna with Now What with Jeanna. And we're talking about the 7 habits of successfully sober people to help us with sobriety. So this first habit, Synergize. All the other habits, 6 habits so far, 5 habits so far. This is the 6th. All the other habits build up to this one to make this everything in this habit, this one habit, is stuff that you have to build up to get to. So the habits we've studied so far is to be proactive instead of reactive, and that one of the things that I took from that I really love is that the space between stimulus and response is freedom. That space in between, here's what happened to me and here I'm going to react, gives you that space in between, gives you an opportunity to make decisions that are a little more effective, to pause. This is what we call it in recovery, to pause, so that you're not jumping to conclusions or jumping to a reaction. So he says to be proactive. The second habit was begin with the end in mind. Visualize your future. Figure out, what you want from this world and what you want from your sobriety. Do you want to continue living this way, or do you want to have a better relationships, build a career? What do you want from your sobriety? So important. This is what I focus on. I don't focus on not drinking anymore. I don't focus on being sober anymore. I focus on the things that I want from my sobriety, which include great relationships, a career, to help other people. So begin with the end in mind. Habit number 2. Habit number 3, put first things first. This is about prioritizing. I prioritize my sobriety, my successes, my future, my relationships long before I prioritize alcohol. In fact, alcohol is no longer on my list of priorities at all. And when I talked about that one, I said a lot of people will make their list of priorities, never put alcohol on it. But if we're drinking, what comes first? I guess I can do my homework tomorrow because I want to party tonight. I know if I drink tonight, I'm going to be too hungover to work and to get a good job done. But I want to drink tonight. So we prioritize. We have all these priorities. Work and career and relationships and love and all these priorities. That's what goes on our list. But the number one priority, if we're having trouble drinking and if we have an addiction, generally is the drugs and alcohol. So habit 4 was put first things first. So determine what you want to prioritize. Habit number 5 was think win-win. And that comes from the idea that if you win, they lose. If they win, you lose. If you guys don't come to some sort of conclusion together, both lose. but if you can work together and come up with a solution that suits everyone, you have a win-win situation. If you have a family member, or you are the one who is drinking and doing drugs, your win is I get to continue. Their win is I want you not to continue, so that I don't have to worry about you every day. When you guys can come together and work together and synergize, we'll talk about that today in this episode. When you can synergize, you can come up with a solution that is better than the original, or better than the two originals. Your solution is continue drinking. Their solution is for you to go to treatment. To synergize and to come together, you come up with something that is much better than what was originally the option. So we're going to talk about that today. To define, I got on my list here. I'm sorry, I'm not done yet. Fifth habit. Figure out where I am. I did not number these on my list of notes. I just put them down. Fifth habit was seek first to understand and then to be understood. Seek first to understand and then to be understood. And part of that comes with learning how to listen. And boy, do we not do that when all we care about is drinking. Or if you have a family member who's doing that and you're trying to tough love them into sobriety, I'm pretty certain you're not seeking first to understand and then to be understood. I'm pretty certain it's typical, let's put it that way. I don't really like to assume you're doing something, but it's pretty typical for you to be trying to control them to get into recovery, because, well, aren't you just, isn't that the stupidest thing, that you're drinking your life away or you're drugging your life away? And you'll have better results if you try to understand why they're doing it, instead of pushing your beliefs on them and hoping they understand why you believe that way. So there we go. That's the fifth habit. So sixth habit, synergize. So I want to define synergy. Vince calls it the gestalt. The gestalt. It's two parts coming together to make something greater than the original. So that's what he calls it. Stephen Covey calls it synergize. And I'm looking where my notes are. Stephen Covey says that if you are compromising, then 1 + 1 = 2. If you are doing the win, lose, lose, win situation, then 1 + 1 = 1.5 or a half. But when you do synergy, 1 + 1 = 3. You get more than what you planned on, more than what you thought was possible. Examples of this. I love potlucks. We just finished a potluck this weekend at the Common Ground where I go to recovery meetings, and everyone brings a dish, and the dinner table is much better when everyone participates and adds all their stuff to they synergize, add all their stuff to the table of food. I made a dish, and I didn't eat my dish, not because it wasn't good, but because there was so much more there that it was just wonderful. Two people come together in a marriage, and this Stephen Covey's perfect example. Two people come together in a marriage. One, is man, the woman, or man and man. I'm not I'm not prejudiced against that, but man and woman. And when they come together, they have two children, and 1 and 1 = 4. And he uses that example. That's not mine. My example, potlucks was mine. But my other example is the sun and the water and the soil all work together to raise a plant then that is better than the seed it started out as. So all that sun and that water, and they all do their part to feed that plant. That is a gestalt. Especially when that plant grows up to be an apple tree or something that you can eat and enjoy, and then that becomes part of your gestalt. It feeds you so that you can become greater than what you originally were, which was a zygote. I don't know why I said that. All right, so here's the problem with synergy. It's hard. Synergy, I mean, it's great when it works, but it doesn't always work out right away. You have to be willing. The thing is, we want to be right, or we want to win, and if we want to win, it's really difficult to let go of our prejudices, let go of our need to be right, and let other people in, to let other people work with you. We want to know what the outcome is, and we want to know that we can get our way, but we can't know what the outcome is because we have to work together to get it. So If I want my outcome to be that Vince goes with me to a meeting tomorrow, and we can compromise to make that happen, and we can just agree. We usually agree for the most part, but with Synergy, if he doesn't want to go and I want to go, what I would do is I would have to let go of the fact that might win. Like let go of the results. We talk about that in recovery. What did I put it? It's about letting go of the results, enjoying the process, even when the process isn't any fun. We and recovery. I didn't know how I was going to get in recovery. I didn't know if I was going to stay sober. I didn't know if I would ever have a drink again. I didn't know what that would look like. All I knew was that I wanted a better life. And I had to let go of the fact that maybe I'll drink later, can drink later. I just had to let go of the results and just work through the process. And it is so hard, especially if you're a driven person, and I can be. I can visualize the end. In fact, his habit where he says, begin with the end in mind. That's pretty typically me. I can visualize the end, and then I take the steps to get what I want. In order for synergy to happen, you have to be able to let go of that. You can still plan for the end. This is what I want, but you have to let go of it a little bit, because when two people start working together, what you plan to happen and what really happens may be much better than what you plan to happen. And you can't get I'm getting confused here. You can't get that synergy, that great results from synergy, if you're stuck on that one result you already had in mind. So letting go, it's about letting go of the results, and we don't want to do that. And the final point I got here for why synergy is hard is we tend to see the world as we are, but not as it is. We tend to see the world as we are, but not as it is. I didn't put a note on here on how I would explain that, but you got a person. Oh, here we go. Your loved one is, practicing drug use, getting in trouble, losing their job, and you want them to get into recovery. To see the world as you are isn't it stupid what you were doing to yourself? You need to go to recovery. By seeing the world as they are, you might say something like, they're having a very difficult time right now. Maybe I can ask them what they need from me. I think that's about right. It's about empathizing. It's about feeling through them and feeling through them and coming up with solutions through them, not through them. Like, let me channel you. I just want to channel your emotions so that I can see the situation through your eyes as opposed to only mine. And we listen that way too. We listen to argue. We listen to um to argue, disagree, same thing. To find out what's best in it for us. We listen through it for in a lot of ways that don't necessarily mean that we are seeing the world through their eyes. All right, so when we don't practice synergy, more energy is spent disagreeing than coming up with solutions. You go back and he goes back, and you go back and he goes back, and no solution is gathered, because everyone is just so busy throwing out their own ideas and not being willing to see. And you might come up with something that is agreeable, something that you can both live in it, but doesn't necessarily mean you're going to come up with something that both parties like. So you're arguing about whether or not your loved one should go to treatment, or they're arguing with you about whether or not you should go to treatment, and you give in and go, okay, damn, I'll go to treatment. So you go to treatment. Are you happy about it? No, you got to spend, this 4 weeks in treatment, and it's frustrating, and you don't want to be there, and you get out and you relapse. You're not happy. You did what they wanted you to do, and they're happy for a minute. But there was no synergy in the decision that was made. It was just kind of a compromise. Okay, I'll go. That doesn't mean I'm going to be sober. I'll go. If your loved one, for the loved one that wants you to go into treatment, yeah, they're happy you went into treatment. This is what they wanted. Great, awesome. Except because you didn't want to go, you come out of treatment and then you relapse, and then you're back to square one and they're not happy anymore. So compromising isn't the best way. When you have synergy, you get something that is agreeable to everyone, and it's more long term. Yeah, you can change your mind, but it is more long term that it's agreeable with synergy. All right. And here I'm going to go with an example that I used to use with my students. As some of you may know, I was an English teacher. I taught composition. And when it came to the argumentative essay, students would write all their side. This is why I think you should do this. This is why I think this law should change. And this is, 3 reasons, like 5 paragraph essay. 3 reasons I think that we should take better care of animals. And they all look at their own side and never introduce the other person's side. And I always told them, if you start out in the first paragraph, having trouble talking, if you start out in the first paragraph with the other person's side, you are softening your argument a bit so that they may be willing to see you're empathizing with their needs. You're saying, yes, I understand why you might think veganism is healthier for us. I see this. I recognize these points here, but let's talk about the other side. So when you open up, when you disagree and only disagree, you put up a brick wall, and it's hard to get through that brick wall if you cannot, see the other side. When you empathize first, you're avoiding the brick wall, at least part of it. It may come up later, but at least you get some of it there, and you can avoid the disagreement that you have to begin with. So that's synergy. I'm looking at my notes here. I think I got that. When we practice synergy, do practice synergy. I don't know what I wrote. When we practice synergy, we can get to new alternatives that not only please both parties, but that's often better than the one in the original one to begin with. We start valuing the differences in each of us. We start accepting that this person's been through different experiences, and they have different habits, and they have different values. We celebrate the differences. Celebrate the differences. This is one of the things, I've said this about AA. I think I'm pretty open about AA. I tend it. I don't always agree with what they do. I'm a little bit different. I also attend SMART recovery meetings. I also have gone to therapy. I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of connecting here. So I got a lot of stuff. And I value those differences because I pull my recovery from several different places, and it's worked for me. If I didn't celebrate that, if I didn't value that, I may not have had as much success, because there's like a one line. There's, it's this way or the highway. And if I can't do this way, I got to go to the highway. People with synergy, people who practice synergy, end up valuing that there are all different kinds of ways to get to the solution, and are willing to explore those different ways. And you can find ways that you're both right. Does that make sense? Both right. And that, yes, you want to continue, using drugs. And usually it's not that they want to continue using drugs. It's usually that they want to relieve themselves from some of the emotional pain they go through. They want to relax. They want to have a good time. They want to open up. So yes, you want to continue using drugs so that you can open up and continue to relax and continue to deal with your emotions. Yes, I want you to stop using drugs because I am concerned about your well-being and your health. Both are right. Both are right. So when you have your synergy, you recognize where both are right, and help me see what you see. That's the big question. I want to have synergy with you, so help me see this in the way that you see this, so that I can come to some empathy, some understanding of you. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. So Anyways, I'm going to move down. I'm gonna look at the time real quick. 2:24. I'm a little. I told you it's been 2 weeks since I have been on here. So, all right, I have 3 ways to use synergy. 3 ways, but 2 fingers to use synergy for recovery. The first one is to use it to get help. 3 heads are better than one. 2 heads are better than one, but I like three. Use it to get help. Find a group of people who are like you, but not exactly like you. We all have differences, and pull from them. They're different things, and pull from them. Also, uh, use it to get help in the sense that you have to empathize with their experiences. You don't have to. You should empathize with their experiences, feel what they feel, and together you can work to come with a solution that works for you. So here's an AA experience. I'm trying to avoid it, but this is, I think, is a perfect one. I've had trouble with sponsors, and not that they've been bad or I've been bad, but it's that I go in and I want to work with someone, and they throw all this. You got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this at me, at me. And they're not willing to work with me. They want to throw it at me, and I'm not willing to work with them. I want to. I want them to understand me. I want them to hear me, and that just hasn't happened for me, so that we're working together. And I'm trying to be very careful because I've gotten a lot of good from the group, from AA. But that is one of the problems I've had, is this lack of synergy between me and the sponsors. Not all of them. A couple of sponsors I've had. There's been no synergy. There's been a bunch of demand that you do what I say because this is how we recovered, and very little. Okay, let me find out um, where where you're coming from, what part of the process you're in, what are you having difficulty with. If you're getting help and you can um, find someone that can do that with you, then there's going to be a lot better solution to the problem. You know, much better than either of you planned. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Helping others. I talked about this earlier. If you have a loved one in recovery and you're throwing out the solution at them, throwing out, and you refuse to see how their side is right, then you never get to the understanding that maybe they have a reason that they're using drugs or struggling with addiction. You never get to that point. You never get to the understanding that maybe they're afraid to go into recovery or treatment center. You never get to the point to where they're concerned about some past trauma and they're trying to deal with that, and all you've done is pushed it aside. I've experienced that, where I've had to deal with some trauma and people have pushed it aside, and if they are doing that, then they're not hearing me, they're not listening, they're not understanding me, and I don't I don't do well with that. I don't see that anyone does. What I really, really, really wanted was to be understood and to be heard, and none of that was happening. Instead of, when you sit with your loved one, instead of creating punishments for them, instead of yelling at them, instead of imposing your will on them, stop to listen to them, and find out why their behavior makes sense. Once you get that out of the way, then you can work on how to solve the problem. Okay, they want to be happy. That's their solution. You want to be happy, and that's your solution. And together we can create some synergy that makes both of us happy at the same time, and is so much better than the cycle we get into of treatment recovery, treatment recovery, treatment recovery. And it's a lot less expensive than that. All right, the last one, anger management. How can synergizing handle anger management? Of course, if you're in an argument with two people in an argument side by side, and all they're doing is yelling and not listening to understand, not looking for solutions. I'm going to scroll back here to my oh, here we go. My habits. They're not being proactive. They're just jumping. There's a stimulus, an argument, and then they just jump to act, and without thinking. Everyone wants to win, not prioritizing what needs to be done in order to succeed. If all this is happening, you're not doing any of this in an argument, generally both people come out behind. It's been that case for me and my family. They want one thing, they yell at me. I want one thing, I yell at them. And then next thing you know, we haven't talked for 6 months because we just can't come to any agreement. If you can learn to synergize in your discussions, if you can learn to listen to understand and to be willing to win-win, to prioritize what's important. Arguing about the dishes may not be that important, so let it go. When you can do that, um, you can just live in more peace and harmony, and just get rid of a lot of that stress that causes us to drink. So there's 3 ways that synergizing or synergy can help with recovery. And anyways, that was just about it. I said I'm actually really happy I came on. Everything's been so far behind that I didn't even know that I was going to. It was we're almost last minute in this because I've been still trying to relocate and recreate a lot of my documents. All my social media documents are gone and everything's gone. Everything's gone. So but I'm here. I'm here and I'm happy. I'm still looking for the next book of the month series. I think I'm going to call that book of the month. And I might do a few less on lives on that, but I don't know. Let me know what you think, or if you're interested in a book of the month for sobriety, let me know. It may not necessarily be a sober book. It may be like this one was a leadership book, maybe something like that I apply. I've got a lot. Here's this one here that I was thinking about. Emotional Detox. Can you see it? Yeah, you can see it. Actually, on Instagram, it's backwards. But Emotional Detox, this is not a book about sobriety. It is a book about learning to clean up your emotions and deal with your emotions so that you're stress free. And when you can figure out how to do that, I I want to drink less to deal with my emotions because I now have the tools to deal with my emotions appropriately. So, point is, I'm looking for the next book. Let me know what it is. I got a couple in mind. I might not even do it next because I have a couple in mind and I'm a little more prepared. Next week, though, is our final Stephen Covey 7 Habits of Highly Effective People slash Successfully Sober People. The next one is Sharpen the Saw. I don't think I have to fight to make this one fit. I didn't have to fight to make too much fit. I just had to open my mind a little bit and see how it could. But this one definitely not. Once we have had some time in sobriety, the next step is what we call maintenance, and that's sharpen the saws. Maintenance. How do you fine tune these things so that they work better for you, so that you use them a little more spontaneously without having to plan them out. Anyways, that is next week. As I said at the beginning of this episode, I have an ask for you guys. If you would, I am trying to get to 100 people, subscribers on YouTube, and the goal for that is I want Now Sober as the custom YouTube URL. So it'll be, I think, YouTube /Now Sober. I don't know, but I want that. Currently, it is a lot of numbers and difficult, except for cut and paste makes it easy, but difficult to let people know where to go. So I'm trying to get to 100 subscribers and I'm asking for your help doing that. Head on over to YouTube. I will put all those letters and numbers that make up my current YouTube channel. I'll put all those in the comments so that it's easier for you, and just hit the button and hit that subscribe button. And the benefit of that is everything is stored there. I have a library of everything that goes on these lives, but also my social media posts where I do videos there. They all go on YouTube. And so you'll have access to the entire library. You would have it anyways, but this way you'll get notification and it's all in one place. And I think that's about it. So anyways, let's look. Make sure to subscribe and follow Now What with Gina on YouTube. To not miss the next episode as we talk about sharpening the saw. And that's it for today on Now What with Gina. We will see you next Tuesday, unless a cockroach kills my computer again, at 2 o'clock Central Time. That's 2 hours earlier for those of you in Pacific Time. 1 hour later. So it's 3 o'clock for those of you in Eastern Time. And if you're in Europe, I have no idea what time it is. I'm lucky to have those out. And anyways, that's it for today. You guys have a wonderful day. Remember, you are worthy. And yeah, we love you. All right. Talk to you later. Bye. Oh, there it is.